Mr. Right is a story about a hitman with a heart of gold who might be a little crazy and a girl who has bad luck with guys. The two of them start going out and seem to be made for each other, but there is just one problem: a bunch of men are after the hitman and the girl doesn't know he's a killer. Let's see how their love story comes about. Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2015 action-romance film Mr. Right. It's time to recall. Let's get started, turn on subtitles, and spoilers ahead. The film starts with video clips of little kids holding up posters of what they want to be when they grow up. There are wannabe doctors, lawyers, astronauts, and then there is Martha, who says she is a T-Rex and starts roaring at the camera. The next scene takes place after 23 years later. Martha is seen preparing to surprise her boyfriend by dressing up all sexy and preparing dinner. To her surprise, he enters his house with another woman, and when she confronts him about it, he tries to gaslight her and even goes on to suggest that he join him and the other woman for an adventure. Unsurprisingly, she walks out, but not before thwacking his head with a bottle. Meanwhile, we see a well-dressed man with a charming disposition walk into a hotel. He knocks on the door, and a rich woman appears. He tells her that she hired a hitman to have her husband killed, so he is there to punish her for it, because murder is wrong. He places a red clown nose on his face and shoots her. Outside the hotel, a British man has hired a team from which he withdraws at the last minute because he realizes how unprofessional they are. He overhears all of them dying as they try to kill the first man inside the hotel and plots their deaths on a map. He seems somewhat amused and unshaken about the whole ordeal. Meanwhile, the first man single-handedly kills the entire team that was after him. Martha has been super distraught about her boyfriend cheating on her and has resorted to drinking and weird behavior, while her friend Sophie tries to help her out and be patient. We soon find out that Martha has a lot of energy, hyperactivity, and positivity. Basically, she's a lot to take in. Sophie takes her to her workplace, which is a pet boarding house where Martha lets loose a cat that Sophie warns her about. Later, with both of them covered in cuts and bleeding, Martha apologizes that Sophie had to go through that, and Sophie tells her to go home. While this has been going on, we also check in with the guy from the van. His name is Hopper. He listens to an automated message informing him of his new undercover identity, Leonard Knox, and how the New Orleans police are at his service. The message also says that due to his personal relationship with the target, failure will not be tolerated. He meets up with a local detective called Gus Patrick. On her way, Martha stops at a store and runs into the hitman guy we saw earlier. He's dressed in a comical, colorful shirt and asks Martha out. He tells her that she's very beautiful and that he is on the run from international hitmen. His energy weirdly complements what we've come to know about Martha, although he does creep her out a lot. She asks him to tell her in 2 words why she should hang out with him, and he says, "or else," and winks exaggeratedly. The two of them get some food and then go for a stroll in the park. We see them bantering back and forth and getting along pretty well. Martha starts telling him about how every guy she dates turns out to be a secret asshole. He asks her if he is in danger of that too, but she denies it, saying that him being an asshole is not a secret. She tells him about her ex, who was a professor. She says that she would be too if she honored her degree, and tells him about her love of dinosaurs and paleontology. As they're talking, we come up to a sniper hidden somewhere close by. It's the only guy who survived from the team that was killed earlier. Francis, Martha's new friend and our hitman, has very keen senses and is able to dodge the bullet through some sort of pseudo-realistic senses. He spins Martha out as if in a dance and dodges a second bullet. It seems unclear by this point whether he is hanging out with Martha because he's enjoying himself or because he needs a civilian he can use as protection. They spend the next few hours dancing at a nice place. In another conversation, we see Martha warming up to him further, and he also seems genuinely interested in her. He cracks silly jokes and wears his red nose. Martha calls him the corniest guy she has ever met. They then kiss, and she takes him back to her apartment. At the apartment, before anything can happen, Sophie walks in on them, and the two move to her bedroom. She shows off her dragon nightdress, and they cuddle. When she wakes up the next morning, he has left her a note and a funny drawing. He says that he will see her tonight. Hopper and the police chief are trailing the hitman. Hopper reveals that the FBI has been after him for 10 years, the CIA for 15, and him for 5. The chief asks why they don't just grab him right now, but Hopper says it is too risky because civilians could get hurt and it will get messy. At home, Martha is very happy about the way things are going and cooks Sophie some pancakes for breakfast. Her friend tries to tell her to be careful, and the fact that Martha doesn't even know the name of the guy she slept with is a huge red flag. Martha reveals that they simply cuddled and slept, and for that, not knowing his name is fine. Sophie calls him Mr. Right. The sniper guy, named Espinoza, calls Hopper and asks him what to do next. He is angry and wants revenge on Francis. Hopper tells him that he knows everything about Francis because he trained him, and for now, they wait. He switches to his undercover American accent as Detective Patrick joins him. The detective asks him about Hopper, who used to be a master of disguise and a secret agent and used to work with Francis Munch in the CIA. Hopper tells him to simply focus on Munch, as Hopper has been missing for 12 years now. Francis and Martha go out on a proper date, which is briefly interrupted by Espinoza, who wants to kill Francis. They fight out in the alley before Francis reluctantly kills him to get rid of him. He rejoins Martha and apologizes by saying that he had to kill a guy in the parking lot. She laughs, thinking he's joking. We meet Vaughn and his partner Moon, who are hitmen. Vaughn wants his brother Richard out of the picture, and since they know that Francis kills those who hire him, Vaughn convinces his brother Richard to hire Clown Nose to kill someone. After dinner, Francis makes hot chocolate. Martha asks him about his name, which he says he doesn't want to share because he doesn't like it. She then asks him about his quick reflexes, with which he caught the condom boxes on the day they had met. He explains to her how he believes there is a current lying under every object, and instead of going against it, one can flow with it and anticipate it. He calls it a gift. When he throws a knife above them and catches it, Martha is freaked out and wants him to leave until he throws a knife at her and she catches it without hurting herself. He says that Martha can do it too. Martha becomes excited, and they later on spend an intimate night together. The next afternoon, Martha is in the car when Francis leaves her there to go meet a potential client on a bridge. Moon is observing the meeting from afar and tells Vaughn that Richard himself didn't come to hire Clownface, meaning Francis. When the guy Richard had sent to hire Francis doesn't name his employer, Francis kills him. Martha sees this and is scared. She asks to be dropped back home and wants space. Richard is majorly pissed off about his guy being killed and doesn't understand what happened. He tells Vaughn and Moon to grab 10 guys and go to Martha's house and wait for Francis. And when he shows up, he wants them to kill him. Hopper, as Knox the FBI agent, arrives with Detective Patrick, tells her and Sophie the truth about her latest boyfriend. They tell her his name is Francis Munch and how he was a former CIA and a trained killer, one of the very best. He tells her he got off the rails and now he mainly kills people off who hire him. He does this because he abides by a moral code, which is that murder is wrong. He tells Martha to inform him whenever he gets in touch with her. Martha and Sophie are shocked. Sometime later, Martha gets a call from Francis saying that he is coming over to see her. She goes out to talk to Hopper. She asks him if she is in any danger. He tells her that Munch is a dangerous guy. He once killed an entire drug syndicate because they hired him as a hitman. But she clarifies and asks if she is in any danger from him. Hopper says that Munch's behavior with her is different. She is clearly an asset to him, and thus she is an asset to Hopper. She leaves, and as Hopper is on duty, Francis attacks him and knocks him out. He drags his unconscious body inside Martha's apartment. She tells Francis that she thinks he should leave before they start making out. She breaks off again, and there is a funny exchange between them, with her trying to ask and rationalize his killing. He explains himself, and she decides to forgive him. Meanwhile, Richard's men surround the apartment building, and Detective Patrick contacts the unconscious Leonard Knox about it, which Francis hears. Sophie also walks into the room, and they start arguing about Francis killing an FBI agent. Francis tells them that he is alive and also that he is not FBI. He is a bad guy who worked with Francis after they left the agency. But when Francis wanted to stop being a hitman, Hopper turned on him and tried to kill him. Francis and Martha make a run for it, but are attacked by some men and a guy named Steve, who is hired by Richard. After a cool fight, Francis gets injured by Steve. Vaughn also joins in, and Francis tries to scare them off with a warning, but as Vaughn starts talking about how he was in the crime syndicate he took out, Steve grabs Martha and Moon attacks Francis. They leave with her and tell Francis to come find her. Before he can do anything, Hopper arrives. They start talking about their past and how Francis used to be a cold-blooded murderer. Hopper gets distracted by Detective Patrick, whom he kills, and Francis uses that to escape Hopper. Martha has been taken to the Cardigans' residence. As they prepare for Francis to arrive, Martha provokes Vaughn. He hits her a couple of times, but she isn't scared. She tells him if Francis doesn't kill him, she will. Francis arrives with his clown nose and has a friendly chat outside with Steve. He then goes inside and gets to the brothers. He decides not to kill them and goes off to find Martha, which infuriates Vaughn, as all this time his plan was to get Francis to kill his brother. Francis leaves a gun in the room for them to settle. Vaughn gets to it first and finally kills Richard. Francis finds Martha and they have a cute reunion. As they're leaving, Francis is conscious of Moon, whom he says made fun of his nose. Martha says she likes it. Just then, Hopper catches up to them and attacks. Francis tells Martha to run, which she does, but is taken by Moon. Moon drags her inside and is about to kill her when she dodges his attack and swings at him with a weapon. He falls and she is unable to kill him. She then runs into Vaughn, who points a gun at her face asking her about Moon. When she taunts him, he shoots, but due to her gift, she is able to dodge the bullet, surprising her attacker. She turns his own pistol against him and shoots, screaming that he should have listened to her. Outside, Francis and Hopper have been going at each other. They both are equally matched. They both end up handcuffed together, but Francis tells him that he told his girlfriend he won't kill anyone, so he starts to walk away. Hopper calls out to him asking him to turn around because he doesn't want to shoot him in the back. He listens. Hopper is about to shoot, but Steve kills him first. Francis tells Steve that there was a $5 million bounty on Hopper, which means Steve is now a rich man. Martha joins Francis and he asks her if she got shot in the face because her pupils are dilated. She says yes, but she took care of the two guys. They laugh and Francis asks Steve to give them a ride to the hospital. 2 months later, Martha and Francis are vacationing in Vietnam, deciding where to go next. Then we see a sniper hidden under a tarp who is talking to someone over comms about having their target in sight. He is about to shoot Francis, but Francis holds up a sign which says, "Where is the girl?" The guy realizes he's screwed as Martha is shown holding a gun to his face, wearing her cat ears. She shoots him in the face, and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.